feel like now I'm comfortable to tell my story and to like give awareness to young females like me that are in an abusive relationship or people that know somebody that are in an abusive relationship, and giving their part to help, because like sometimes this new generation, police don't really help much, so it's best to step in as possible to help before it's too late. So in 2018, I was 19 going on 20. I was young minded at the time. I was not really thinking. I just wanted to make some quick friends, I guess. So I decided I wanted to go on a little dating site. I guess at the time it was Plenty of Fish. But while I was on the site Plenty of Fish, I had ran into this boy. His name is, let's change his name. Let's call him Bill. So me and Bill, we were talking for like a couple of weeks. He was pretty much telling me about himself. I was telling him about myself. And like we pretty much came on into liking each other. So one day out of the blue, we decided let's just meet up. So like, I guess he was coming from Tampa, coming back home. So it was best to just link up, because like our schedule timing was like not really perfect to like link up. So I guess that was the right timing at the time. So when I met him, he really didn't look like the boy off the picture. So pretty much I was catfish. But during the time, I wasn't really thinking, and how he looked didn't even look like the boy off the pictures, but like he looked better. So like at that point in time, I was not really even thinking. I was like not like no stranger danger or anything. I was just like, oh, he looked better than the boy off the picture. So it's like, I don't really know. So we end up like going into my house. We sat down, we was talking. For some odd reason, like my instance of a vibe was just like off. Like, you know, when you meet somebody and like your presence is just not sitting right with them, that's how it was. He was pretty much telling me about himself a little bit more, and I was like asking questions. I was like, you know, you don't look like the boy off the pictures, right? And he was telling me like, you know, yeah, I know, like I use my cousin's pictures because I don't really want people to know who I am. Like I'm pretty much low key, and like I look better anyway, so it's a win. So in my head during this time, I'm just like, okay, he kind of is my type, and like I really wasn't really worried about it. But like the whole time we was like chilling with each other, you could tell like he was on something, but like you couldn't really tell what it was. Like I couldn't tell if he was high off of, you know, marijuana or, you know, something else. But you know, like this new generation of dudes, they be doing like pills and stuff like that. They be popping. So it's like automatically it became a red flag. So like after like we hung out, I completely cut him off, like cut all ties. I didn't really talk to him. So I just went on my regular dues, back on the site, just going, just talking to people. So then like one random day, like I got a phone call. At this moment in time, I didn't even save his number at this point in time. So like I pick up the phone, I'm like, hello, who this? And he like telling me who it is. So I'm like, oh, okay, hey, and what such and such. So like we was having a conversation, and he was like seeing if I want to go chill or something like that. So I got in my car. I took a little long drive to go link up with him. During this time, I was staying in Christopher, and he lived in Gainesville. So I drove all the way to Gainesville. I hung out with him for a little bit, and then I picked him up and I took him back to my place. We chilled, and then next following he went back home. So after that, I guess we kind of got off of like a vibe, like we kind of like each other, but it was like, let's just be friends with benefits. It was never nothing like serious. So like we'll just talk on and off. At this moment, I'm working, so I ain't really like paying no mind to like boys or just him in general. Like once I'm in like work mode, I'm like grinding, catching my cash. So he came down, he drove down, we linked up, we did a little smoke session, And pretty much he was telling me about like pretty much more about himself, and I was telling him more about myself. Pretty much we connected on like a trauma bond situation because he went through a lot in his childhood. I went in a lot through my childhood. So it was just like we understand each other on a different type of level that other people can't really understand, or have, if you haven't went through the stuff we went through, you wouldn't understand. So like after that, a couple of months in of like linking up, he ended up like, I wouldn't say move in, but like he'll come stay with me for like a couple of weekends, and for a couple of like weekends, and then he'll go back home. So, but during the time I was in college and I was working, so like it was very convenient. So I was like, it was a quick access. Like I deleted like the app because I was like, I got a little yeah, I ain't really worry about that site no more. So, couple of like months in, everything was fine, going good, and then it got towards Halloween time. So during Halloween time, I was going to college in Gainesville. I was going to Santa Fe. So during this time, this is when like it's college time. They throwing parties back nonstop. So we took a trip to Gainesville to go to these Halloween parties, and like we linked up with his homeboys. During the time, they didn't know me, I didn't know them. So we all like was in separate cliques. But in Gainesville, if you know people, people know you. So it just depends on who you know. If you're from Gainesville, you'll understand. Like they run the cliques. But I wasn't from there, so like no one really knew me. So I was just off the grid. So during Halloween time, he took me around to like link up with his homeboys. So he over here introducing. I pretty much stayed in the car. I didn't go in the house because I was like, you know, when it comes to homeboys, when they meet somebody new, especially if you got like, if your homeboy bring a female around, they instantly trying to like, what's the word, grid you to see like if you loyal or not. So I stayed in the car because I didn't want no parts. So at like couple of minutes in the car, he was like, you can come in, like let's get ready for this Halloween party. So like he introduced me to his homegirl and her brother, which was his homeboy at the time. So we just sitting there conversating. So we all rolling up and like about to go out. So we left. We went to this party. We went to two parties. So after the party, everything was fine. We left and then we went back home. So during this time, he was kind of like staying with me, really, but not really, because he had to go back home from school and he had his own personal stuff he had going on. So then the following week, we went back to Gainesville and we linked up with the same people he introduced me to. During this time, I pretty much was like, we pretty much separated. He wanted to go hang out with his homeboys and go play basketball. I just went and just go linked up with my homegirls or whoever I knew at the time doing down there. So it got close to like late night. So we ended up linking again. So I was talking to somebody I knew that stayed out in the complex. So we was in a like parking lot having a conversation. And then, so he ended up walking up, seeing us having a conversation, just looking at me crazy because like, he didn't really think, he walking up to us, he looking at me crazy because like at this moment, like this was my homeboy, like who I was talking to was my homeboy. So I wasn't really met like at the time, not really thinking anything was wrong because like me and Bill, we wasn't together. We was just friends with benefits. So I didn't find it like an issue. So he ended up asking, can he use my car to go to the store right fast? So I was like, okay, that's good. So my phone ended up dying. So I had to go to his homegirl house to go see if they had a charger so I could call him to see when he was coming back. So during this time, I seen his homeboy, and we was having a conversation. I was asking like, "You got a charger by any chance?" And like he was pretty much telling me like, "Yeah." So we ended up going into the house, and I was like asking for the charger or whatnot. He was pretty much not trying to give me the charger at all. So he's trying to give me the runaround. So then I'm just like getting irritated. So I'm like, I'm about to go. Can you just call him to see if he outside? So like he pretty much taking his time trying to call him or whatnot. So during this time of us still being in the house, this the homeboy of the sister. So like I'm thinking I'm straight, I'm cool, I'm comfortable with him. Like we don't have plenty of counters, so I'm straight. So during this time we sitting in the house and like he low key trying to pass the move, but he not trying to pass the move. So, and I'm just looking at him crazy, like, bruh, I don't get down like that. Like, I don't do that. So then he was pretty much telling me like, oh, I'm not really trying to talk to you like that because I know you my homeboy cousin. So I'm looking like, homeboy's cousin. So I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, that boy is not my cousin. Like, I just connect to the charger for message today. So I'm like, this boy ain't my cousin. Like, who told you that? So he was pretty much telling me like he told him that I was his cousin, and like we shared the same aunt. Now that I'm looking back into it, I get where he was coming from, because like we sneaky links, like people don't really need to know our business, but like cousin, like be for real. Like be for real. So during the time, like he's saying that, so he thinking like, oh, she not his cousin, so like I most definitely could pass a move. So I'm like, yeah, I know. So like he getting irritated. He started talking cash about bills. So I'm just sitting there just eating it up, just letting this boy talk it up. So I'm like, you know how homeboys get, like once they found out like if they like you or something, they gonna start talking about their homeboys. I don't know why females be doing the same thing. Like, why try to downplay somebody? So he pretty much trying to tell me what his homeboy is and how he don't really like mess with him because such and such and such. So I'm just looking like, now you know I'm gonna go back and tell. One thing about me, I'm a loyal person. So like once I'm connected with you, if somebody try to tell me some slick stuff about you, I'm gonna sit there and like eat it up. But one thing, I'm gonna go back and tell, and then I'll tell you straight to your face that yeah, I said it. It's not no problem. I don't like disloyal people. So like once like it's something like that, nah, I can't trust you. So he come back, he picked me up. So he over here talking about why I didn't pick up the phone. So I'm over here trying to tell him like he over here trying to figure out why I didn't pick up the phone. So like I'm instantly telling him like my phone dead. So I had to show him like my phone dead. So we driving. At the moment I don't even really know where we was going. Like I really don't know. So we driving. So like I instantly like the whole situation was just bothering me. It was like boiling up. Like so I ended up telling him like the situation what happened. Like his homeboy was trying to make a pass and he was talking cash crap about him. So while we in the car, I'm thinking like, damn, like it instantly just got quiet. So at this point, he looking at me crazy. I'm looking at him like, I just told you what happened. He ain't really saying much. So he instantly, I'm guessing in his head, he thinking like, he was really thinking like I wasn't gonna tell him what happened. So I guess everything just hit him so quick. He got irritated. So he was just like, yo, I'm not trying to go back home with you. Can you just drop me off at my people's place? So I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really got no issues. Like, I'm not finna do this. So I ended up taking him to his people's place, and I went back home. So while I'm driving back home, I didn't hear from him the whole night. And then the next day, he texted me, and so he was just like asking like if we did anything in the house. So I'm instantly thinking like, what is you talking about? So I'm pretty sure he assumed that me and his boy did something in the house, and he wasn't really thinking I was telling the truth. His trust issues was just not trusting with me. I don't know why. And then so I guess he was getting like irritated. So like after I told him that, like his vibe with me just went left. So during this time, Halloween season's over. We in the new month. So everything's pretty much going good. It's just something about his energy wasn't off. So this is during the time he completely like stand with me. Like it's like we stuck like glue. He not back home. He with me. So one day we took a trip to Gainesville, and we had to go to the store for something, and he dropped his like ID on the floor. So me being me, I'm nosy. So I end up peeping and I picked it up. And like the age on there, wasn't the age he told me. So I'm over here like calculating. I'm like, didn't this boy just tell me his age? He told me he was 22. On the age thing, I didn't really look at it all the way. I just seen like 1995. I think it was 95 or 94. It was just like a quick glimpse, and I dropped it back on the ground. So once he came back in the car, I was like, you dropped your ID on the floor. And then he instantly just got like hostile. Was like, oh, you being nosy. So I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm being nosy, but like, you dropped it. I ain't like, I'm helping you out. So while we down there, he had to go to court to go handle some business, like regular people had to go to court and handle stuff. So we end up going back home, and then one day he was just like giving me some weird story of how he gotta go back home, he gotta handle some business. He was giving me like a whole like life situation, like he a part of a gang and like he got himself in like a mafia situation and he owes somebody money. And I'm just eating it up. My like teenage brain just eating it up. I'm like so scared for him, his health and wealth. I'm over here like, I don't think you need to go back home. So like you need to stay here. I think whatever they got going on, you'll be fine. They don't know where you at, like just stay here. So he was just like going on and on, just getting mad. So I was just like, okay, whatever. So I ended up taking him back. And then I didn't hear from him for like at least 30 days. So like, I'm over here thinking like, did these people kill him or something? Like, something ain't right. So my brain just told me to like, go on mug shots. I don't know why. I feel like once you disappear for a couple of days, I instantly gotta go on mug shots. That's just who I am. Like, if you ain't dead, you in jail. Like, where's the opposite too? Or you kidnapped, like one of the three. So I'm over here like trying to figure out like the name he gave me, trying to think of it. Like I got a good glimpse of it, but like, so I'm just typing it in, and then like boom, like a mugshot popped up. So now I'm like, ooh, jump scare. I'm like, oh no, like this boy was in jail. So instantly, like, I just went about my business. I didn't even like worry about him. I'm like, he got too much going on. I'm about to just mind my business and go focus on school. So he ended up texting me. I guess after his little 30 days was up, he ended up texting me. So he was like, hey, can you come pick me up? So I was like, I'm acting stupid at the time. So I'm just like, okay, I'll come get you. So I met him at this location in Gainesville. I ended up picking him up. At first, I did not recognize him. Like, he had, like, a whole facial beard, everything. Like, he did not look the same. Like, I'm sitting here like, the hell happened to you? Jail took him up for 30 days. So, like, we in the car, we driving back home. So, he asked me all these weird questions, like, what I did for the 30 days, why he was, like, gone and stuff. So, I'm instantly, like, being honest. I'm like, man, I was doing me. Like, but we ain't really together. You still my sneaky link. I could do what I could please. So he ended up getting mad. Like, you could tell he was like pissed off. Like, I was in jail. Why didn't you hold me down? So I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I was like, we pretty much like figured like we both know he was in jail. So like after that, we got back home. He went to go get his little shave up. Everything was decent. And then my homegirls was like, I linked up with my homegirls, so they asked me if I wanted to go out. So we ended up going out. We went back to Gainesville. It was just me and my homegirls. We went to Gainesville. We turned up. And then I came back, like, pure intoxicated, drunk out my body. And he was pretty much still on the same situation, the conversation from earlier. So he was just not trying to deal with me. He was like, go to sleep. Like, I ain't trying to. We gonna deal with this anymore. So the next following day, I wake up. I'm like, I got a bad hangover. I'm just out of it. So he over here just trying to start an argument, and I wasn't trying to hear it. So he ended up just bringing up some like weird just stuff about his homeboy, and then what I was doing while he was gone. And I'm just like thinking like, is he forgetting that like we just sneaky links? I'm thinking he thinking that we like together like, but yes, because we stay together, we do stuff together, we with each other 24/7. But this is the thing, none of us agreed to actually be in a committed relationship. So it was like, I'm not thinking anything wrong. He shouldn't get mad. And anyways, he was doing his thing at the time anyway. So I wasn't even finding anything mad to be about. You doing you, I'm doing me. We just having play house for right now. So then the whole day he just trying to pick up an argument, and then I guess it just boiled to the point. This is where it gets graphic. We was having a conversation, and like I ended up getting slick out the mouth, and then he just picked me up, yoked me up, and just swung me into the wall, choking me until like I passed out. So at this point, I'm just like on the ground, just trying to comprehend what happened. So he ended up panicking. So he ended up leaving the house, calling his homeboy, trying to like figure out what's going on. Like, dang, I just put my hands on this girl. He just panicking, like he panicking. So I'm over here like in like a confused stage because I ain't never been in an abusive situation. So I'm just sitting here like, this boy really put his hands on me. Like, this man choked me out. Like, he choked me out. Like, how I seen it, like, only if you like was in my situation. Like, when he was choking me out, his eyes just went completely black, sharp black. Like, you couldn't see the whites on the side. It was just black. It was like he was possessed. Like, I was just like overly confused. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to throw holy water on myself. I didn't know like what to. So he ended up coming back in the house. So I'm just sitting in the room, just sitting here, like sitting on the bed, trying to comprehend everything what's going on. And then he comes in the house and he'll like apologize. So I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm gonna just give you a pass because like I was talking crazy, but like it wasn't to the point that you needed to choke me out. So he apologized and like we went on about it. So a couple of days, couple of weeks passed. Everything was good. Everything was straight. And then for some odd reason, like the whole relationship, after he put his hands on me, the relationship just went left. Like every single time, like we'll have a conversation, it will lead to him just getting pissed off, getting more angry, and then he'll try to like find some type of reason to argue with me. Like it wouldn't even be like no reason to argue with me. He just wanted to pick up a fight and just argue. For example, like we'll smoke. Like during this time, I was like heavy smoking. Like I was smoking 24/7. Like wake up, bake, go to work, off work, bake. Like it was nonstop. I was like forgetting to eat. That's how much I was smoking. And like he would get mad at me, like say that, oh, you getting off of work, you ain't really spending as much time with me. You be going to sleep. I'm like, sir, I'm getting off of work. You getting me dumb high. Yeah, I'm gonna be passed out. I'm gonna be asleep. Like, what you want me to do? Be up and alert? Like, I'm in a coma. So, everything was just going decent. And then I ended up hanging out with my homegirls again. And then we ended up coming back. And he didn't like the simple fact, like, I was hanging out with my homegirls. He was just thinking, like, I was out here just doing stupid stuff. And the whole time, we was just chilling, having fun with my homegirls. So, he wanted to have a... So, like... It was just like I was just getting irritated. So he ended up, we were just saying like this is getting like too toxic. He's going back home. So he went back home. So I'm just going back to my daily duties or what I do. Go to work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep. We pretty much took a break. So after a little break, this is like almost close to like, not even close to December. We still like, I think it was, after Halloween, it was like the next month. Like, it's all in one short period of time. Like, you throwing me, like, off. It's not even, like, a big span of what's going on. It's like, so it's too many red flags. So it's like, we giving each other a break. So we end up linking back up, and he was pretty much apologizing. And that's when he confirmed. He was like, he wanted me to be his girl or whatnot. So I'm like, sure. I was like, sure. So this is like December time. So we in it like together. So everything's going good. Everything's fine. Like, we was just a pretty much happy couple. Like, we was with each other all the time. We would go places. just, we wasn't really like too much out and about. Like our relationship was just like pretty much low key, because like in my hometown I didn't really go out much. I was always out of town, so it was like we just kept our relationship low key once I was in hometown. So we celebrate the new year, and then once the new year came in, this is when everything just went left. So this is 2019 during the time. So our relationship it was okay. He was pretty much doing his stuff on the side, but how I am as a girl, I don't really be caring. As long as I don't find out, I'm gonna do me. So like, why you doing you? Don't even get mad when I do me. So he was doing what he was doing. So like, I'm real bold. I'm not trying to hide anything. So I'll link up with my homeboys. He assuming we doing stuff the whole time. We just chilling, just matching, just talking, stuff like that. So I came back home. He over here having a conversation with me, and then he getting mad because I ended up going out with my homeboy and a few other peoples, and he didn't like that. Pretty much, he wanted our relationship just to be me and him. He didn't want me to have no friends. He didn't want me going around his family. And like, I literally went a whole year without seeing my family. Like, my family was completely cut out of the picture. I didn't talk to my mom. I didn't talk to literally nobody. It was just me, him, and that was pretty much it. So the whole time while I'm in this relationship, I'm not really noticing. I'm like losing a whole bunch of weight because I'm really not eating. I'm like, this relationship was just based off just smoking, and pretty much everything else, just smoking and doing what we do, and me going to work. So I ended up going out with a few friends, and I came back, and this is during the time he didn't like me having my hair done. He didn't like me getting my lashes, nothing. He wanted me to be just a plain Jane female. So I had my hair done. I had my hair in this cute style. So he see me like hyping myself up, making videos, just recording myself, and then he instantly started getting mad. So this is where it gets graphic again. He ended up throwing something at me, and it hit me in my face, and then he ended up ripping my wig off and started punching me in my face. So now I'm just like instantly crying, because I'm just like, bro, what did I do? Like, you over here getting mad at me because I'm over here hyping myself up. And then he's just like, bro, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this. So during this time, I had like a 2-bedroom apartment. So I stayed in one room, he stayed in the other room. So we didn't really speak to each other for like the whole night and the second day. So after this incident, everything just went left. It just got more abusive. Like, he was just fighting me every other day, to the point where he got real mad over something little, and then he ended up kneeing me in my face, and I had 2 black eyes, and I had to go to work the next following day. And it was to the point with 2 black eyes, and my bosses was just like not having it. So like, I had to still stay to work. I just had to go through the day with black eyes. And a lady during this time, which I used to call my mom, if she watches this, I really thank you for saving my life. Really do. I really thank you, Michelle. I really do. So she ended up stepping in pretty much, and was pretty much telling me like, I need to leave this situation alone. And like, it's just getting to the point where you're coming to work with black eyes, you're losing weight, you don't look like your normal self, you're not happy, you're not chippy, you're just draining, you look drained. Like, my whole demeanor was just not the same no more. He didn't like me being happy, he didn't like me laughing. Like, I'm a bubbly, goofy person. He didn't like that at all. Like, he was just a chill, just dark mannered person, and he wanted to be on that type of timing with him. And it's like, with me, I really couldn't. So it ended up getting to the point where he just got into an argument with me. Like, it was just trying to argue with me every other day. It was just, I really didn't understand what was going on. Like, I thought everything that I was doing was so perfect, and everything I was doing, he did not like. Like, I was doing everything perfect as a girlfriend, and he was just wanting to fight with me 24/7. So it ended up getting to the point where an incident happened and the police was called, and I ended up getting a restraining order. Once I got the restraining order, he ended up going back home, and my life pretty much went up, skyrocketed. Everything was going fine. My weight started going up. I had a few friends at the time that was checking up on me, making sure I was straight. Like, everything was just so peaceful and calm. So, like, months in of, like, everything going fine, I end up getting into a new little situation. I pretty much didn't give myself to heal. I just ended up started talking to somebody else. And everything was going decent. But then I was just not feeling it. And I ended up getting back in the same situation. And this is the thing. I still had a restraining order on him. Me and him was not supposed to be around each other. And the neighborhood I was at, they kind of knew. So, like, we had to be, like, pretty much low-key with it. So, me and him ended up getting back into a relationship. And he was pretty much, if everything could go back normal, just get rid of the restraining order. So, me being me, not really thinking, I'm thinking everything's going to be fine. I end up going and dropping a restraining order. So once I went to go drop the restraining order, everything went back to the same repeated cycle, and it just got 10 times worse. So then he would just try to argue with me about me talking to another boy while we was on this restraining order situation, and it was like making it seem like I was talking to the dude the whole time. Me and him was talking to each other. He just was just holding grudges, and it was just getting like really, really bad. So then one night, I don't know, it was one day, he ended up just, his whole demeanor was just off. Like, he didn't talk to me the whole day. He was in the other room, I was in the other room. So I'm not finna be dealing with the negativity. So I'm hyping myself, making videos, recording myself, just hyping myself up in the room. And then the Wi-Fi ended up going out. Like, the towers went out. So he ended up busting in the room, snapping at me, talking about I'm like bothering him, talking about saying why I turned the Wi-Fi off. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, I didn't mess with the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi went off by itself. And he was just like, you trying to find every reason for me to hit you. You just want me to go back to jail. And I'm just sitting here looking at him like crazy. Like, he really was tweaking. And during this time, he didn't have no weed. So, like, I guess he was having withdrawals and everything was just pissing him off during the time. Like, he was just getting irritated, like, left and right. So then he ended up, like, yanking me up, slamming me on the ground, and tried to, like, bust my face open with the bottle, like, glass bottle. But he ended up stopping, and then he ended up leaving. So he ended up leaving for the night, and then he ended up coming back. So then everything was going horrible. I really just didn't understand. Everything was going horrible. I ended up losing my job. I was trying to find a job for the longest. I couldn't find no job. Like, every job I was trying to get, they was not trying to hire me. Like, it was just, everything was just going left. And, like, he ended up, his spirit was just seeming so chippy. Like, he seen me, like, so down and out because I couldn't find a job, and I was just home with him 24/7. And then I finally ended up getting a job, and his whole attitude just went left. And then he would just be like saying he has friends, and he was like starting to leave the house more and more. And I'm just thinking, like, bro, you new here. Who do you know out here? You don't really know anybody. And then come to find out, he was talking to a female I know, and like, I guess she was telling him certain things to make him come back and just make him fight me. And the whole time it was just all lies, and he was just believing her, and he didn't much believe in her, and he was trying to fight me. Like, she was pretty much telling him all types of lies, saying that I was talking to dudes while we was together, and saying like just a whole bunch of like stuff females will say just to make a dude mad so the dude can leave you to be with them. That's pretty much what she was trying to do. And she was seeing like he was really not trying to leave me. He was just using her as a side piece, and like he was not going nowhere. So the more the stuff she kept on telling him, the more he was just getting pissed off, and he was just beating me up. And it got to the point where it was just so horrible. Like, I was about to like myself. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, it was to that point. I was so depressed. I was losing weight dramatically. And then I end up, so I had this job, so it was pretty much saving me during the time. I would go to work, I'd be at work at nighttime, and then I'd be home. So while I had this job, he was just not liking the fact that I had a job. So he tried to start arguments left and right. And then I guess he was still talking to her. And then one night he just came home drunk. And like everything just completely went left. He ended up like we was having a conversation, and I guess I said something he didn't like, and then he just ended up punching me in my face and choked me out. And like I guess I was like in a little knocked out for like I don't know how long. I just know I woke up and he was just standing over me, just spazzing out on me. And like he was telling me like sit in the chair. He just going on just yelling at me. And then he ended up hitting me again. I passed out on the ground, and then he ended up getting like getting a screwdriver, and he ended up slicing my throat. I still have like the mark to this day on my throat. He ended up slicing it, and like thank God, if he would have went too deep, I wouldn't be here to this day. But you know, grace of God, I was saved. So it was just to the point where I had to have somebody come pick me up, and I ended up getting the strainer over the back of mine. And it was just to the point where they was just like, we can't be near each other. So it was like, no. Like this is getting serious. So I ended up having a caseworker, and they had me in this program for domestic violence. They was trying to relocate me, but I wasn't trying to leave because like that was my first apartment. I was really not trying to leave. They was pretty much like terrified for my life because they ended up pulling up his profile stuff. They ended up pulling up his profile, and like this boy had like a huge record, like a record I didn't even know about. Like when I looked him up when he went to jail, I didn't see anything. I just looked at that. I was really not even trying to pay attention if he had any other like records and stuff like that. So a whole heap of like records popped up. It was like he had an incident where he like killed somebody's dog. He had one for setting the school on fire. It was just like too much, and they were just like, yeah, no, this is like a psychopath in the making. Like we need to get you to a safe place to where you can't be around this boy. But during the time, I'm just like, yeah, okay. So I went forward with it. My life was getting a little bit better. I still have PTSD, but during that time my PTSD was like on fire. Like I couldn't like focus on nothing. Went back to normal. I ended up talking to the boy that I was talking to before I like cut him off again. So everything was going good. He was pretty much helping me through my situation, and then I ended up going to jail. I have a story time on there. If you go on my page, it has a story on there about when I went to jail. But I ended up going to jail, and then I ended up coming out, and then I ended up finding out this boy wasn't being loyal to me, and him and my roommate at the time stole like a whole bunch of money from me. So I completely cut them off, and so I ended up being in a vulnerable place, and I ended up going back to my ex, Bill. So during this time, everything was calm. He ended up coming back. We was pretty much like talking and everything. He ended up talking, and he realized like, yeah, I need to cut the bull crap because I don't went to jail twice. I done put 2 restraining orders on him. Like he was trying to get himself together, but the whole time I'm thinking everything calm. I got like real bad PTSD, and like my vibe was through the roof. Like I trusted him, but I didn't trust him. Like I didn't know if this man was gonna kill me. I didn't know how everything was gonna be set. So during this time while I was working, it just ended up getting to the point where he was changing, but he wasn't changing, and like I was just so stressed out. And he was arguing with me one day, and then he just completely cut all my hair off during the midst of an argument. And so I ended up going to work, calling my mom, Mom, and I was like pretty much done with the situation. She came down, picked me up, and that's how I ended up moving to Tampa. Once I moved to Tampa, everything was pretty much going like pretty much good. I was okay, but I wasn't okay. I was like in a depressed stage. I didn't eat. I was like I was trapped in a room pretty much during the day. I They had to put me on depression pills because I was just like so confused. Like I was so in love with this boy and I didn't understand. My bad. I didn't understand why he was just doing the things he was doing to me. And like I was pretty much giving him my all and he was just not trying to show me the love back. So like I was going through deep depression. While I'm down here, he's blowing up my phone trying to tell me like he finally got a job and if I come back home he's gonna change, he's not gonna hit me no more and we'll do blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, bro, you cut my hair, I'm not coming back. No, after you cut my hair, I don't know what else you're gonna do to me. So it's just like, yeah, I'm not coming back, I'm staying here. So it ended up becoming a new year, so it hit 2020. So once 2020 hit, I ended up getting myself together. He was still staying in my apartment, so we had to go down there and like I had to get all my stuff, cancel my apartment out, and I ended up officially staying with my mom. And then I guess during the mess, he still was staying in my apartment, but he had wrecked my apartment so bad, like I still owe a fee for the apartment. I pretty much broke my lease, but he was still staying there just wrecking my stuff up, like just tearing it up, so I had to pay. So while I was down here, everything was going great. I had started my job, everything was going fine, and like I ended up like doing what I usually do, link up. Wasn't really like doing too much, just like venting with people, smoking, talking, just trying to like get my surroundings around here, trying to like make friends and stuff like that. And then everything was just like, I don't really know. It wasn't just, I had so much like PTSD, like every single thing was just like making me just jump and like giving me flashbacks. So it was just like every single time I tried to like get into a relationship, it wasn't working. Every single time I tried to talk to somebody, it wasn't working. I was pretty much not healed. I wasn't giving myself time to heal. I was just pretty much trying to rush in something quick to get over the pain, which was not working. And then he ended up, I guess, getting into a new situation with one of the girls in my hometown. But he was kind of doing the same thing with her, but like 10 times worse. And I ended up talking to him. I didn't know at the time. Me and him ended up linking because I was trying to get closure. I was just trying to close this chapter and try to understand why he did the things he did to me. And it wasn't working. He ended up coming down and like this was just the end point for like we just had to completely just let go. I had to leave the situation. He ended up coming down. Everything was fine. It was like in a space where like we was comfortable, but it wasn't too much. We had smoked, we was talking, and he was just talking weird. It wasn't like bad, but it was like talking weird. So he didn't have a phone at the time, so I let him use my phone for like a couple of days while he was down. And I ended up looking on the phone because like he had left to go play basketball. I ended up going to like look through the phone to go like get something out of it. And come to find out, he was on Plenty of Fish talking to transgender females. So me at first, I was like in shock, like I was just thrown off. I was just like, what's going on? It's like too much like going on. Too much going on. I don't have nothing against transgender people. I love the community. I am bisexual myself. So like it was just throwing me off. It was just like, okay. He did show signs that like he was kind of like for the girls, but like I didn't really pay no mind to it. Like he was just like a goofy person, I guess. Like I was not thinking he was just, you know. So he ended up coming back playing basketball. So I ended up confronting him. I was just like, I seen what was in the phone, and then everything just went silent. And then he ended up picking up my fridge and tossing it. And then he was like, bro, you trying to end me. You trying to end me. Like, you really want me to really hurt you. And it was blah, 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 blah. So he ended up, like, again, choking me out, throwing me on the ground. I ended up blacking out, getting back up. I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to fight for my life to get out the house, like, trying to, like, run. But he ended up, like, yoking me back in. I ended up having to, like, he had me trapped in a room. He ended up starting to cut himself, cut his arms, like dropping his blood on me, and like he was just having like a psych out like moment like I've never seen before. Like I knew he had issues, but I didn't know it was like this extreme. He was psyching out, telling like the cops gonna come and like I'm gonna go to jail, saying that I was stabbed him when he stabbed himself. He was pretty much trying to say, he was trying to get me to go to jail again, because he didn't like the simple fact like every single time everything happened, he would go to jail, and everything was just, he didn't like the fact that everything was just happening to him and I didn't end up going in a situation because I wasn't doing anything wrong. So he was trying to get me to go to jail for murder and whatever he thought I was gonna go to jail for. But like no one caught police, so like he was just, So I ended up having to be trapped in a room. I couldn't leave the house. And the next following day, like I was just so shaken up. Like I was just like shaking. I didn't know if I was pretty much held captive in the house. So I had to like make an excuse to like go to the hospital, because he like really did like hit me hard, like slam me on the ground. Like I had a migraine, like my eye was just not like it. So I was like trying to get him to let me go to the hospital, and like my mom pretty much came and got me, and like she was just so over it. She already knew what was going on. She was just like, bro, I'm just so sick and tired of it. Like, I can't keep on helping you if you're just going to keep on going to this boy. So I'll just take you to this hospital, and whatever happens, whatever happens. So I ended up going to, so while I'm at the hospital, I don't know, something like in my body was just telling me like, like when it gets too close to like a life or death situation, like you feel it. Like something in my body was telling me like, after I leave this hospital and go home, I'm gonna die. Like it's my last. Like I'm gonna die. So while I'm at the hospital, I was like psyching out. Like they was about to take me to the like crazy house. Like that's how bad I was psyching out. I was so like shaken up to go back home, because I already knew it was like my last. So they end up coming. After I left the hospital, the police ended up coming to the house. Before I went into the house, they had to go check the house to see if he was in there before I went in. So when they went in, he ended up running. It was just pretty much like a whole chase going on. They ended up chasing him. He ran to the back. They grabbed him and the police vehicle, and then they ended up checking my apartment to make sure everything was safe for me to get in. And then they ended up checking his vehicle, and inside his vehicle, he had duct tape, he had rope, and he had a knife. Pretty much, once I came back from that hospital, he was just gonna end my life, and like no one was gonna know. Like no one was gonna know. So he ended up going to jail, and pretty much the courts like granted like full force or restraining order. Like we can't like be near each other. And like I was kind of happy, but I was kind of upset, because it was like it really got to the point to like this, like you was gonna kill me. And he pretty much told me it was revenge for like sending him to jail multiple times, getting restraining orders. He pretty much didn't see like nothing wrong what he was doing. He just felt like I was the problem, and the whole time it was just his inner self was just hating himself, because he is my bad for laughing, but it's like that was the issue. He had inner hate because he was gay. and he didn't know how to control his sexuality, so he was hating me because of that. And I was never out, to be honest, and out to this day, thinking I was never really the issue. Like, it was just him. He just had self-hate. And then fast forward to 2020, 21, he ended up messaging me on IG, pretty much trying to say he was sorry, but then he also was having like a narcissist moment, trying to blame me for everything that happened. He felt like if I didn't act a certain way in the relationship, none of that would have happened. And then he tried to say I had my twins on him, and the whole time we wasn't even together nor talking. It was a restraining order put on him during that time period, and it was like months after I had my twins. And he was just saying like just all crazy type of stuff, and he pretty much blocked me because I wouldn't send him no money. I guess he was in a hard situation and he wanted me to send him money. This was like during, like, after tax season, and he wanted me to send him a whole bunch of money, and it wasn't going for it, so he ended up blocking me. But that's pretty much the story. It's 2023. I'm in a healthy relationship. I have 3 kids. It pretty much took time for me to actually heal. It took me 2 years to heal and get over the pain. I do still suffer from PTSD, depression, and I do jump a little bit, but I'm still working on it. I don't take depression pills, so life's pretty much going forward. But thank you for